connections to industry that are unique because of who you know in ham radio. A lot of them, I'm sure, are sitting in this room with me. I have buddies who work at Qualcomm, which happens to have a ham radio station, W6QAR. I have a buddy at Virginia Tech who's a graduate research assistant doing work with AMSAT, and I think that's him dipping his head into that antenna there. Sterling, N0SSC, who's back there, worked at the Very Large Array. A couple of our IT grads work at SpaceX, and myself working at C-Speed on radar systems is a good example too. I mean, if I hadn't impressed the guys who hired me with knowledge of RF systems, they probably would have passed on me. So this is why you'd want to have students in a collegiate ham radio club. Well, how can you find one? How do you know that a given college has a ham radio club? Well, for one thing, college websites list their clubs on the website, most of them, the good ones anyways. Maybe you'll find some things at a prospective students' activities fair. A lot of these organizations will exhibit when there's like an accepted students open house or something. That's how I got to know Clarkson's Club. I showed up there and found them at the activities fair and said, this looks like a lot of fun. You could ask the student union or the student government for a contact. And if you find a contact, then get in touch with them and have them take you down to the station. And a lot of them will be really happy to do that with you. And finally, we have a Facebook group that is open called Collegiate Ham Radio Operators that any of you are welcome to join. And there's a lot of college students from various clubs in there who will answer your questions. So if you want to talk to any of us more, there's actually a collegiate dinner tonight after Hamvention at the Little York Pizzeria and Eatery. I'm not going to dwell on this too much because it's in the Hamvention program, so you can get a little more information on it there. But anybody's welcome. Anybody who's interested or involved in college ham radio can come see us. So finally, if you want to get in contact with me on this, there's my email. And that's all I have today. So thank you all for watching, and thank you, Carole, for having me back.
Thank you, Sam. You were a former youth presenter. How old were you?
I was 17.
When Sam was 17 years old, he was one of the Youth Forum presenters. So here you see the evolution. And by the way, to follow up on what he's saying about the career choices that evolve out of kids well-trained in ham radio, as I go to different industry shows, there is a common worry by manufacturers and people in the wireless industry that they're not getting enough trained people to be the technicians and creators of software for analog and digital, and they look for people with ham radio licenses. So they're worried about the future. Well, somebody a lot smarter than I am, Abraham Lincoln, once said, if you want to be able to not worry and be able to predict the future, help create it. And everybody sitting in this room is working with young people is really doing that. So good for all of you. Okay, now you're in for another really special treat. Bob, where are you? Are you already behind me? Of course. Okay. How old were you when we first got to know each other? You were a teenager then, weren't you? Yeah. I know this guy since he was a very, very young man on Staten Island. He is now a dad himself and very much involved with the high school that his son attends. And if any of you remember the youth forum where the kids invented the robotic device that climbed up the pole for emergencies, that is just, I'm asked about that everywhere I go. Well, this is the gentleman, one of the gentlemen, Kevin's in the back as well, who are responsible for training all these kids. And he's involved at the high school level. So you may pick up a lot of tips if that's the level that you are interested. This is Bob Roschewsk, K-A-2-P BT, and he's got 2 young high school students with him who he will introduce, and I know you're going to get good ideas. He supplies me with some of the best youth forum speakers that I've had, so he knows how to do it. Okay, Bob?
So just by raise of hand, anyone here involved in school board, serve on a school board? No? Really? Okay. How about, besides my crew, anybody from New Jersey? Wow. I didn't expect that. You still live there? Okay. Did you know that New Jersey, being only 8,000 square miles, has over 600 distinct school districts and school boards? And if you figure there's an average between 5 and 11 members per school board, that means it's like 4,200 school board members in New Jersey. So it's almost like, why aren't you on a school board? So the real title to my presentation is The Rewards of Serving on Your Local School Board. So as Carole was saying, my name is Rob, K-A-2-P-B-T. And I was originally licensed in April of 1982, so that puts me about 34 years now. And currently I live in White Township in Warren County, New Jersey. It's a little farming community up in the northwest corner of New Jersey. And as Carole said, I'm originally from Staten Island, and every time I get excited and my Staten Island accent comes out, all my friends in New Jersey kid me about that. So, I moved up to Warren County right in the 1996 era, and as Carole said, very young. I was a college student at the time when we are members of a local radio club there, and we worked on a few projects together. And I always loved the opportunity to show off 80s hairstyles.
I owe you.
You bet. So these are actual screenshots from some news coverage. If you go on YouTube and search for WB2MGP, I'm sure you'll find them. But this was for the SAREX-2 mission. It was the second time an astronaut was up at the space shuttle, and it was actually the first time it was a coordinated effort to have that astronaut talk to students in schools. And the guy with all the hair there with the glasses on standing next to Carole is actually me, if you can believe that. The other 2 guys, I have no idea. So as far as my school board career, I'm a school board member. I was appointed to the Warren County Technical School Board in 2002. There was an opening, it was advertised, I applied, and I was excited about it for 2 reasons. Number one, by my DNA, I'm a maker. So I like building things. I like people who work with construction, electronics, metalworking, just about anything that involves building stuff. And my son was going to the school at the time. So Warren County Technical School started out as a VOTEC, but what we like to say, it's not your grandfather's VOTEC. So it's a choice high school within Warren County as an alternative to the regional high schools. The type of student we attract are the kind that already have a pretty good idea of what they want to do when they grow up. These aren't the kids that go just to the regular school and just plod through and graduate and say, I don't know what to do. So usually they have an idea of what they want to do already. So the name changed from Warren County VOTEC to Warren County Technical School. We offer the traditional trades such as carpentry, metalworking, automotive, culinary, cosmetology, the type of trades that, after graduation you usually move off into a job. But we do offer a program of STEAM rather than STEM. STEAM programs with engineering, electronics, health sciences, theater arts, and broadcasting. So, being a volunteer, I had to get something out of this. So my agenda was to promote amateur radio as best I could within the school and within the community. So didn't know what to do at first. So I've got this new position, and I know I wanted to go in this direction, but I needed help. So what's the first phone call I make? My friend Carole. We refer to Carole as the queen because she's the queen of amateur radio youth activities. And over here is a meeting. Carole was gracious enough to make the trip to Warren County, and she met with our electronics teacher sitting at her side, John Matroki, WA2SME, as well as our administrator and myself. So we talked about all the different ways we can enhance, and Carole offered all sorts of resources to us. So if you're trying to promote amateur radio, that's your first phone call. Oh, email works too. So, what do? I go big. My first task is I want to do an ARIS contact. Not knowing what that meant. So we filed our application. The school was granted the opportunity, and we worked at it for probably almost a whole year. We introduced the space-related topics within the curriculum. We did projects with launching balloons and seeing, and putting tags on them and giving like little rewards for people who like wrote back to tell them where the balloon landed. All kinds of the history classes were did a day where they talked about the space race with the Soviet Union. We joked around that even the cosmetology class was going to come up with a perfect hairstyle for 0G. So we had an extremely successful event. We did it in the gymnasium, 400 students in the gymnasium, elected officials, members of the public, members of the press, and I'm working the radio, and all that's running through my mind is that this has got to work. And that was a great success. And the other thing is because this was so big and so it's such a big effort for the school, that anything I asked after that point was easy. So another thing we like to do is we like to promote the school club roundup. And we're fortunate enough that we have a small station in the electronics lab. And we have several students that have their license, several extras, as a matter of fact.